don't know about you, but I learned a heck of a lot this morning. I didn't know a lot of the stuff that was being discussed. As someone who's not schooled in energy and the material that was discussed this morning, I thought the discussion flowed great, so we appreciate your contributions. We have a half hour to have some questions for our folks up here. So if anybody in the audience has a question, just stick their hands up. Okay, gentleman over there.
Question is one to representative from Delaware, and with really having a similar geographic proximity to New Jersey, why isn't ocean power a consideration in alternative fuel generations? I know there's a company here in Ewing Township that generates as ocean power technologies. It has a system that generates with buoys, and I understand there's a big system or array or a field that's been installed in Spain or is planned to be installed in Spain. I'm just curious why that hasn't been part of the
Thank you.
Well, I would include in ocean power offshore wind, wave, and tidal. Is that what you mean? Yeah. Well, I think offshore wind is seen as our largest new generation source. I don't know if we'll build anything other than offshore wind for the next 2 decades. I mean, that's not a policy position. That's just a projection. So we're definitely considering that to be the primary new generation source. And we expect to produce more than all of the electricity that we need, and if we can convert the vehicle fleet, more than we need for fuels. So it's certainly in there. Now, if you think we should be doing all three, there's a argument for diversity, certainly, but those are not mature commercial technologies. So it's you can do an experiment, you can do a pilot program, and there's several being done around the world, but that's different from saying our state is going to be investing $1 billion every 5 years and turning over our entire generation infrastructure. You can't do that with a pilot experimental technology. It's just too risky. You have to have proven stuff. Offshore wind's got 15 years of operating experience. Now, also in terms of resources, those are far smaller, wave and tidal. Well, tidal is very restricted by the topography.
Any other comments from any other members? Question out there? Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Don Dinsmore from the New Jersey Assembly Republican Office. I have a question for Ken. I applaud the administration on setting out an energy master plan that has goals for production and reduction by 2010 and by 2050. I'm wondering whether we can expect reports from the administration, maybe on an annual basis, every 2 years, laying out what has worked with energy production and reduction, so we can see where the state is going into the future.
Good question. One of the challenges we faced with the Energy Master Plan was the fact that no plan had been done in something like 13 years. And so what we tried to do with this plan was make it a living document. And in doing so, there's a few things that we put in place. First, that there's going to be annual reporting of the progress on the Energy Master Plan. That does not just for the energy efficiency, but also for the renewable energy and everything else that's in the plan. Second, creating a state energy council that is composed mostly of cabinet members who are dealing with relevant areas concerning energy, such as the BPU, the DEP, DOT, so on and so forth, the alphabet soup of state government. And as part of that council, they'll be advised by an advisory group that's made up of business leaders, environmental groups, generators, etc., to make sure we stay focused and grounded on what's working out there and get their continual input. And then the other part is the fact that we're going to provide these updates every year on our progress, but every 3 years, that State Energy Council is going to be putting out a revised energy master plan with potentially revised goals, either more aggressive or less aggressive as we proceed. So that's, ultimately we hope to make it a living document, and all those reports will be all public. So,
picking up on that question, though, and maybe some of the other panelists can chip in, is there a way to measure improvements in the decrease in usage in a state from year to year based upon either technologies that are being used or other actions that are doing? I don't know whether other states do this so that somebody would pick up a document and say, we used to be at X amount, And now we're at X plus, but we would have been at X plus 1,000 if we hadn't done this.
Well, the funny thing is that on the micro level, we can certainly measure it on a consumer by consumer. We take this refrigerator out and put this refrigerator in. We can measure a lot of those improvements, and that's what I've been seeing a lot of states do. On the macro level, we actually have fairly accurate numbers about what our overall consumption is. New Jersey's overall consumption is about 80,000 gigawatt hours, excuse me, of electricity consumption today. And so when we set our policy goals, the interesting thing is we set this 20% reduction, which is on the macro level. However, it's very hard to measure on the macro level. If our consumption falls to 70,000 gigawatt hours next year, we could certainly give ourselves a pat on the back, but there's so many other factors that play in, so many other variables, the economy, weather patterns, et cetera, that can drive down that macro level. And it's very hard to determine what was actually people making a conscious effort to turn off their light in general because of what we're doing, or what was just because it just wasn't as hot this summer. And so those are some of the challenges we face.
Okay.